been given access to receive messages of clarity, guidance, and love. As channeler, psychotherapist, and author, Noemi Grace has an intimate dialogue with the divine on your behalf. Lisa Berry, creator of the show Light on Living, will be co-hosting as live callers ask their burning question on self-love, self-healing, deepening relationships, areas of struggle, and next steps. By simply listening in, you're receiving wisdom that will lead to sacred stability from every channeled message that Noemi delivers. Join us now as we give you access to angels and grace.
Oh, well, hello, everyone. And we are coming to you live in the thick of the heat, as many people are. So, Noemi, I wanted to start that by welcoming everybody and just sharing with them that you are in we are both in a hot place, and that sound behind you is your air conditioner.
Yes, unfortunately, I have a room air conditioner, and if I turn it off, I don't know what will happen to me. So, I'm worse than that, probably. So, I apologize in advance for not having the best audio quality, but the divine will still be as potent and wise as ever. So, we will have that gift no matter what.
Oh, I love that. And as we come into this, I'm going to do something that I have never done on one of our shows. And Noemi, it's a surprise to you too. I wanted to share that we have listeners who write to us and share, how the show is helping them, or what topic or message that they received, whether it's been when you channel live during the show, Noemi, or that you've pre-channeled. And I want to do this wonderful shares that, there are people who so can benefit from hearing these messages from source, from loved ones, to the point where they don't even speak the same language, but just our show descriptions alone, they have them translated. So, and I love this. Thank you. She wrote and she said, I translate it just so that I could get the benefit. And Noemi, that was just a beautiful thank you when you hear that, because we like to show up. Yours and my friendship has blossomed live on air, and
yes, it has.
Yes, and we're blossoming with the listeners as well. And I love showing up, and thank you for everyone who shares with us that how we're able to be there for you and support you. Both Noemi and I want to show up to do exactly that. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. We have so much fun doing this, but we don't do it for ourselves. We do it to share and to help others, and we get the benefit too. But it's really not just to have a great conversation, which we do have, but it's really for you, the listeners. So let us know what you need, and we'll be happy to talk to Source about it and to access the wisdom that we've gained through our life's experience and share all of that.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Access the wisdom. And today we are accessing the wisdom on how to thrive through life's storms, whether they come in heat waves or not. But, when we started talking about this, Noemi, we were going to just, talk about being flexible and resilient. But then we realized even more powerful is that just like a tree might lose a limb, or branch will fall off for a reason, the tree is still beautiful and strong and healthy, and it's okay that it lost the branch. And so when we were talking about that, you went, oh yes, that's the one we're really talking about, because there is a lot of, we think it's lost, but it's not lost.
Well, yeah, it is experienced as a loss, but it is time, and it is a gift in so many ways, but and you're unbroken. And when you said that, when we were talking about it, and we're talking about the storm and the tree, and how the tree continues to survive, and even though it loses limbs, and you made that statement, the tree, even though those limbs have broken off, the tree remains unbroken. And I thought, it blossoms and grows. It continues to grow and blossom. It gets taller and fuller and has the leaves. And I thought, wow, that's the way to experience that. When the storm comes, we've all lost proverbial limbs during life storms. And to I don't know if the tree does this, but I imagine trees as being very grateful because I have sometimes hugged a tree and felt gratitude.
Good for you.
And I feel great. I feel grateful. I don't know if it's coming from me or them, but I feel it's gratitude. And so the tree, I'm envisioning it being grateful for that limb and what it did and what it served at the time. But a lot of times, when the storm comes, and we get a lot of storms where you and I live, and not in the same place, but not in the same country, but we get a lot of storms, and branches do fall off. And sometimes in the winter, or even if we have, because I live by the coast, hurricane, then a lot of branches will come down, and the tree is still fine, even though there's this limb that's kind of been dead, dried up, And so the tree has shed that. The storm has helped the tree shed that lifeless limb. And I thought how beautiful that is, because sometimes we're not going to shed that lifeless limb. We need the help of the storm.
Yeah, we need to be shaken up. And what's interesting is storms. We say the storm, how to thrive through life storms. Storms come in very many different ways in our lives. They can be people, situations, conditions. Things we find ourselves in. And funny enough, I have a cactus. Well, we have a cactus here, and it was having a little blossom. A little tiny nub was coming up, and we had company, and the friend just wanted to touch it, just to. Oh, look, it's like a little tiny nub. And oh my goodness, the poor little thing wasn't big enough, and it fell off. And they just felt terrible and everything. Well, guess what? 3 additional little nubs grew, and now we have 3 more. So had that little guy not been bumped off, we would have had that little beautiful one. But now, and I'm going to share that picture on Facebook now that I remember taking the picture. So sometimes when we think we're holding on to something, we hang on to it so tightly. But sometimes when it does get whatever, the storm comes in, conditions people, we lose a job and then a better one comes along, or just things like that. That's an interesting way of, it's a healthy way to look at how to thrive through that storm. The storm for that cactus was somebody's fingers touching it going, right?
Yeah, and so it was a loss. And sometimes it could be a medical situation. It's not always a loss. Sometimes it's a challenge. It's a financial situation where now you need some money that you don't have. I mean, so all of that is something that affects us deeply, and we can so easily get caught up with what's going on the surface and forget that there are gifts underneath there. It's like this storm that comes by and drops gifts, and so even though the limbs fall off, there's some gems there.
Oh, I love that it drops off gifts, and actually that sounds like a perfect place to ask you to read the pre-channel message, because there was some gifts for sure in what you shared.
Yes, and so what I love about our format, we start, so how we do this, Lisa and I, we talk, and we come up with a word or a sense of what's on our hearts. And I had read an article about psychological flexibility, and which is, to me as a psychotherapist, a very important topic. And so we started to talk about that, and somehow we went from that to the tree and what we've been sharing. And then so before the show, usually the weekend before, I sit and connect with the divine, and I say, okay, what do you want us to know? And then sometimes it's an expansion of where Lisa and I were, and sometimes it takes us in a slightly different direction, but it's still an expansion. And so we went from the tree to the eye of the storm in this channel, pre-channeled messages, Lisa calls it. But still so relevant. So thriving in the eye of the storm. Many of you thrive in certain aspects of your lives while suffering in other parts. Do you know what it takes to thrive? How is it that you can thrive and suffer at the same time? In the thriving aspects of you and your lives, you do not have a sense of doubt or a lack of trust. In those areas of life or your inner world, you have a sense of what is right for you. You can trust your inner knowing while allowing things to unfold. But in other aspects of your lives, you cling tightly, either to the need to control or to the belief in your inability to control those aspects of your life. And this has its basis in a feeling of unworthiness and fear of making a dreadful mistake. But whatever you dread, you put so much energy into avoiding, and yet you also attract it into your life. Not as a punishment, but for your growth and releasing. Learn to release what doesn't serve you and develop a trust in life, in the source of life, which is us, your creator. The more you trust, the more you allow, the more you control, the more you invite the experience of life, which seems like storms, to teach you to let go. When you realize how little you can truly control, you either tighten your grip on things or embrace the freedom of letting go. There is great freedom in letting go, but you struggle in so many areas, never experiencing the freedom that is available to you, even in those hardships. Even in the struggle, we are always available to you, but your actions either invite us or they resist us and life. Look at your life. See where you're clinging, clutching to what you think you need to happen, how you think you need to be. If you can let go, you will be free, even when everyone around you is suffering. Even if the storm is raging around you, you can live in the eye of the storm, where peace fills every breath, every moment. Can you let go and find yourself in freedom from the storm? Or do you choose to continue to cling? If you do, you will unknowingly invite the storm to intensify, which offers you a reminder that you truly cannot control things, and also brings with it a path to freedom, which lies at the heart of the storm, in the place of peace from the storm. To get there, you must let go and trust. Choose to take the leap of faith into the loving arms of the universe as we await your willingness to receive love, guidance, and freedom. The storms of life are not over. For many of you, they are just beginning. Yet freedom is now more pronounced and available. Stop clinging and start trusting that things will work out in the best way for you in the long term. That we are here directing and guiding you to higher ground, to greater fulfillment and thriving in the storm. And as you rest in the eye of the storm, things around you that don't serve you will fall away from you without you struggling. And in doing so, an opening is created for new growth, new opportunities, new ways of being and doing, which lead to greater freedom, abundance, and love. So much more is possible for you. When the storm come, let them clear the way for you. Do not resist them, but gently embrace them, and learn to choose to let go of anything that takes you out of the peaceful place in the eye of the storm, where you will find us waiting. With great love, we embrace you fully. Namaste.
So beautiful. Always beautiful. I've got my words I pulled out there that I just love so much. I was reminded of during that message, Noemi, is that certainty. I love that word, because when we have doubt, we don't have certainty. We are not able to make a decision, a choice to let go and feel good. Like, we just don't know what to do. I can't let go. Oh, no, okay, I do. I need to, but I can't. But certainty, that we suffer when we don't have certainty. And so trust really plays a role in there, because how does one just have certainty? It does require a huge amount of trust.
Absolutely. And that certainty, that's such a great word. That's the absence of doubt. That is the knowing. That is knowing, yes, and trusting in that knowing. And it's something that if we're in our mind, it's very hard for the mind to find that certainty, because there's always the potential for something to not work out, for something to go awry, and the mind is really trying to figure it all out and create that certainty, and yet it finds itself unable to do so the majority of the times.
Yes. Oh, I love that you said the mind, because the mind is constantly calculating. It's just, and the odds over here, and this is the potential over there, and my experience told me that will happen, and but wait, I have a friend over here that she did that, so maybe and the mind just goes, and and it's so maybe, here's a question, maybe not a channeled question, maybe just a Noemi question.
All right, we'll see.
If the mind is not really truly involved in that knowing, in that trusting, how do we go to the place? How do we know where to go if we're not going to the mind? So we're stuck in our minds. We're calculating. How do we go? Wait, I need to have certainty. I want to have trust. Where do we go?
Oh, that is a good one. Where do we go to get out of the mind is a really great question. I can share my experience, and then you can share yours, and then we can decide if we're going to get more. I'm just writing the question down too.
I like that.
Again, I do this because I write it down because tomorrow, Wednesday, I will post some nugget from our share and with a replay link. So I write this down to sort of jog the memory.
And what was the question? Was it where do we go when
where
we're
do we
not
go
going
to
to
get
the
out
mind?
to get out of the mind? So, yeah. So for me, the best thing to do is to either meditate, and I have a meditation that puts me right in my heart. It's it's opening to receive divine love. It's very simple. Just it may not feel it, may not feel like it's there, but just opening to receive and trusting that divine love is available. That divine love, if I ask for it, it's coming. That source is not going to withhold it. Not going to be like, you haven't talked to me in a few days or in a few hours, in a few moments, whatever. We're not going to gift. So trusting in that. So some form of meditation takes you out of the mind, right? That's the benefit of meditation. It takes you into a place of no mind. And then some meditations will take you into that still place inside of you where you can access your intuition. That's the place of knowing. So
intuition. Yes, intuition is the place of knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that right there. Okay, that's a good one for commercial break too. I love that. Intuition is the place of knowing, and the meditation helps get you there. When we come back after commercial break, everybody, so coming back to Access to Angels and Grace after, Noemi, I'm going to ask you if we could put the link to that meditation, be open up to receive divine love.
Do I have a recording that's accessible? I'll have to think about that.
All right, giving you homework. We put the request in. Come on back afterwards, guys. We are going to answer that question. All right, I love this question. Where do we go to get out of the mind?
Love it.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
My loves, you know you're here as a soul-led leader to transform this world through the sharing of your passions and gifts. You are here to be in your warrior of light and align your business with your highest self. I'm Rosalind Fung of the show Activate Your Soulgasmic Business. Let's elevate your business to the next expansive level. I invite you to flow into a business soul alignment discovery call with me at rosalindfung.com. That's ROSALYN, fun as in have some fun, FUNG, and let's see how I can best hold space for you to align your highest self, magnetize your dream clients, and monetize on your soul mission. I can't wait to connect.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Do you feel like your emotions are all over the place? That's normal during this abnormal time. There are a number of ways to cope. Maintain a healthy routine, get enough sleep, eat nutritious food, and exercise at least 30 minutes each day. Schedule some time to talk with a friend or family member. And remember, you can always take a few deep breaths to feel more centered.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Thanks, guys, for being here with us at Access to Angels and Grace. Noemi and I just love being here because so many things show up. And even just there on the commercial break, we were talking about how storms sometimes, they come and maybe they don't have a lot of movement. Maybe it's not chaotic. Maybe it's not fluttering around. Maybe it's actually just heavy or uncomfortable. And I thought that was so, when you said that, Noemi, no movement. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I was talking about the weather. There's like not one iota, there's not one little flutter in the branches behind me and the trees. It is just in front of me, rather. There's no movement whatsoever, but it's oppressive. It's heavy. Yes. It's like...
Oh, oppressive. Oh, wow. You're hitting some awesome words for me right now. Oh, I love that. We're going to come back to that question we asked because I think it's very helpful and maybe it will play into this personal life experience here. On the weekend, talking to different people about, the world and I don't mean the climate when I say climate. I just mean, the climate of people's emotions and where their headspace is. And I in talking with somebody, they had mentioned something and I thought, oh, wow, they're showing compassion in a way that I've not seen before. And maybe a good thing or bad, but I decided to highlight and praise them for this. It didn't work out so well, but it backfired on me, but that's okay. Because it came... I was just like, wow, we can have compassion to certain storms, to certain wow, that was a bad storm. But then some other storms, people could say, what do you mean? There wasn't any wind or anything. Oh, so it was just a little hot, If we don't see it, sometimes we don't think that storm is present or there. But meanwhile, inside, it's oppressive and it's heavy and it's uncomfortable. And other people, maybe you don't understand because they can't see that. So I found that so interesting that we were talking about that because I do try to come from a place of deep compassion. Like, hey, your storm may not even be a storm to me at all, but it's to you. It's your storm. So how can you?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I would rather have it be snowing out there right now than this stuff.
You want proof.
And so this heaviness, hard to breathe, too hot to exercise for me anyway. So missing all of that, missing my normal routine in this heat. It really is what is that oppression? What is we don't know what another person's oppression is, but what is oppressive to each one of us? What is I'm trying to find another word too. Let's see. What is fearful for each one of us? What creates that anxiety? What creates panic? What creates each one that's different.
A panic was another great. Gosh, you're just full of good words here. You always are. But
well, you came up with certainty, so that was a good one.
Yes, and so we cannot be certain when we have no certainty when we are in panic and fearful mode. But the safety is just purely gone for us, and so this is perfect. This is so perfect. Thrive. Okay, so we're not just getting through the storm. We are literally how to thrive, how to have our tree be so not saying they're oh gosh, I just lost a branch. What happens if the next one falls? And what happens if 40% of my branch, the tree is not doing that. The tree is rooted, The tree is strongly rooted in its confidence that, hey, I'm here to grow, do my best, to do what I meant to do, and I'm going to, do what trees do. And so that's thriving. That's thriving is knowing that, yes, storms will come, but my roots are in here. Maybe they're not, So in that question that we came up with was, I just got to go back to it now. Hold on here. Where do we go to get out of the mind the tree is not going to its mind and going, do you think we could grow? Do you think we can get through this? It's just doing it. So how do we
The tree isn't
that?
being, the tree is being, but we have a challenge with being so gifted with so many things, like a creative mind, that being is not where we respond. When the storm comes, we don't tend to be, and I think about, that being in the storm, that peace. I think about that story of Jesus in the back of the boat in the eye of the storm, well, in the hurricane or whatever it was. It was a storm, it was big wind. and the disciples are all freaking out, and Jesus was falling asleep, and they had to wake him up. And they're like, hey, do one of your miracles, because we're like freaking out here. It's like the waves are huge, the wind is huge, do something. And of course he was able to do the miracle, which, that was what he was able to do. But it was, for me, what stands out is not the miracle, but it's that being at peace, so peaceful in the storm, sleeping, calm, resting in the storm.
Resting in the storm. Ooh, and that's so interesting. When somebody is really, they already know the answer. They know how to fix it. They know they can fix it. They're not stressed. But then you're maybe a little kid and you've tried something new and you're like, oh no. I remember panicking when I turned on taps when I was little, because I thought, well, what happens if I forget which way to turn it off, and then I just keep turning? And that was but to somebody else, they would, mom would come in and go, here you go, we'll just turn it off and it's done. So she wasn't panicking, whereas I was. And so we have all these different moments of panic. So do you think I think that would be a great place to go in, to have you access source, access the divine, and get some further, I guess. It's not just where do we go to get out of the mind, but what was that word you said? How to not panic in the storm.
Yes,
The mind brings us panic.
Right, exactly. So I think is, how do we find peace in the storm? How where do we go? How do we start?
Yes.
Right. So we're full on panic. The leaves, the trees. In the last, it's been interesting where I live that since the pandemic started, it's become a lot more windy, at least in my awareness, because I'm working from home. And there aren't a whole lot of trees where my office is. So even though I have a window, I'm looking at a parking lot. So I don't see trees, but my awareness is it's a lot more windy, and it may not be, but that's my awareness. And just seeing, a lot of times I've been in sessions and I'm seeing trees swaying, because I have trees behind my house swaying, and just, wow, all this movement, all of this, and then there's like, I hope they don't fall down, and so the panic does start, not necessarily the panic, but the worry. And so freedom from worry is so liberating. So where do we go? How do we start? How do we find the way to that peaceful place? We're buffeted by the storm. We're in the hurricane. Okay, we know there's an eye somewhere. How are we going to get there? Everything's flying limbs and swirling, and it's so much is getting churned up. How do we find the place? How do we find our way from where we are in this place, right, to the eye of the storm? Fortunately, we don't have to go anywhere physically to get there, but that's sort of what I'm sensing of the question. Anything you would like to? Okay.
That's beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So in case this is your first listen, I'm just going to take a quick swig of water, because it's a lot of talking when they channel through me, and then I'm going to get silent just for a couple seconds to go deep in that connection, and I'll read the divine and turn it over to them. And I have no idea what they're going to say, but I trust that it's going to be what we need. And so I've learned to trust that, which is a gift. And I am going to dare to turn this air conditioner off.
Oh, she's a brave girl. All right.
Brave girl. I will turn it back on when I'm done. Okay. Hopefully the reception is a little better, because there's
it sounds
no movement in this office either now. So No air movement. There's a little storm going on there with the air conditioner. Divine, so grateful that you're here and that we can ask you this question about how we can get from wherever we are in the storm, when the storm shows up and we're in the storm. How do we start how do we get to that place of peace? How do we start? How do we start, and then where do we go? What are the steps? How do we find that peace in the storm? And we love this question. We love the intent behind the question. We love the heart behind the question, because it is in your heart that the answer lies, and in your heart that the ability lies, the ability to find yourself free from the storm. And many of you have lost the ability to differentiate, to distinguish. Am I in my heart? Am I in my mind? Where am I? Many of you live life semi-automatically, semi-on autopilot, where you are going through the day and not aware of what's happening. Most of you have experienced being driving somewhere very familiar and all of a sudden realizing you're not exactly sure where you are, but you know how to get there, so you'll get there because you've been on autopilot. You don't know if you made that right turn at that corner or if you went straight, or because you're on autopilot and your brain the subconscious is able to take you. There's a part of your brain that's able to continue the tasks that have been on autopilot. But when you live on autopilot, you miss the opportunity to catch the storm when it is at the first bit of wind, the first bit of swirling, the first bit of disturbance. You lose that ability to notice that because you have been we will say checked out. You have been checked out to a certain extent, to many of you to a great extent. Many of you are going through the day as someone sleepwalking at night, except you are doing this during the day. And so you have lost that awareness. And so you must decide that you want to be aware, because without awareness, you can't make the choice. You wait until the storm it's not just brewing. If you can catch it when the storm is brewing, you can find that peaceful place. You wait until the storm is 100 miles an hour winds and you can't find the silent place. It is still available, but much harder to find than when you notice that the leaves are shimmering and there is some movement in the trees, and you notice that at the beginning. You can then have so much more ability to access, so much more ability to change where you are than when you are being buffeted by that storm. It is like being in the tornado, in the swirl of the tornado, and you cannot do anything once you're in its path. You have to hang on and hope that you survive. And many of you live that way, hanging on, hoping to survive. And we say that you can thrive even when storms come, because storms are part of life, just as they are part of the weather patterns in your world. The storms, the emotional storms, the circumstantial storms, the relational storms, these are all part of life. You cannot live life without them unless you live in a vacuum, unless you live in a cave by yourself. And there, too, a physical storm may cause problems. So storms are here, they're part of life, but where are you in the storm? And so the first thing is cultivate awareness. Develop the habit of asking yourself, where am I? Where am I? What am I aware of? Catch yourself in the moment. What am I aware of now? Where am I? Where is my mind? Asking yourself these kind of questions so that you can start to cultivate awareness, because when you have awareness, then you can notice the smallest shift. When you're in a place in meditation and you are starting to go deep and there is a noise, you will hear it. Sometimes you can go so deep that you will not hear the noise, but as you're starting to go deep, you're in this expanded awareness, and boom, you hear this noise in the room. You hear the cat or the dog or whatever the noise is, you hear it, and you know, oh, and you are alerted to that. And you want to be in that kind of expanded awareness through life. And you can be expanded, you can be expansive. But it starts with that awareness and the desire to be more present. Because when you are present, everything you need, all kinds of tools are available to you. The power of choice, the ability to change, the ability to understand, the ability to create freedom. It's all in the present. And the present is here for you now. And sometimes you need a storm to wake you to the present. If you are in a hurricane, you are in a tornado, you are in one of life's big storms, in your relationships, in your health, in your circumstances, you're much more present than when you are going along status quo, humdrum, everything is as today as it was yesterday. It is the temptation, the human ability to get checked out, because you can access and do so many things on autopilot. But you can't find peace on autopilot, because peace doesn't live there. Peace lives in presence. Peace lives when you are fully present to yourself and to us and to us as the universe, to us as the eternal, the infinite, to the moment as infinite. When you can be fully present, yes, so much is available to you. So we always encourage people to practice meditation. You may practice a form of silent prayer that is not petitioning all the time, and we have no problem with petitions, but some of you use that as your main form of accessing source, and that is a non-quiet way. We are suggesting the quiet way through meditation, through something that takes you deeper into yourself, into the source of who you are and into the source of who we are. In that place where your source, which is us, and your essence, which is your uniqueness, live together. In that place, learn to access that place. See, as you see the swirling happening around you, you see the storm is brewing. Go deep, go within, access that peace that is there. Access the strength that is there, the power that is there, the ability that is there, the ability to change, the ability to free yourself that is there. The sooner you can access it in the storm, the easier it is. Once you are in the path of the tornado, all you can do is hang on. Once you are in the path of the hurricane, you can go hide, hang on, but you can't go very far. You can't drive away. The storm is there. But go within first. Like those who go into the storm shelter for the tornado or the hurricane, you go into your own storm shelter, which is inside you. You see the storm brewing. I need to go deeper. Having that awareness. The storm is going. More time spent within, more awareness within. And we are very aware right now of the time and the moment. And we are complete. And we thank you for your patience. Namaste. Woo! Ooh, yes, indeed.
I wasn't even aware either. I literally looked the same time that you said that, and I went, "Oh my gosh! Oh, I forgot too." So, anyways,
there wasn't the
yes, I was
commercial.
I was totally in my storm shelter. Thank you. And so, you know what, everybody, come on back after the commercial break. We're here to access lots of access words today. Access to angels and grace. Storm shelter.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Consistently attract soulmate clients begins showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business by tuning in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Join me for your light language activation and let's magnetize and monetize.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Oh, egg roll. No, but in the channeled message, they said something.
Oh, I think we're back.
We're back. We're still chatting through commercials.
I just love it. I think commercials are so fantastic. I think we should all have a commercial for ourselves. I think so I think, thank goodness that Source and Divine are very aware of time. But you know what? I was lost in that one. It was so. It just picked me up. I was in the storm with that channeled message, Noemi. There were so many things.
Yeah.
I have a clarifying question.
Yeah, clarifying question. Ooh, okay, yeah. Good.
Well, the word petition mentioned about petitions, and I thought, oh wait, I don't know if I understood that.
Petition. Prayer and petition. It's asking questions. Petitioning God.
We petition Source.
Yes.
Oh. What does that look like?
It's that asking of will you give me this or cure me from this or have help my spouse to do this or that, which we can ask Source for anything, but sometimes my understanding of that was, and I am going to turn this air conditioner on till the next channel. So the next time I channel, but sometimes we can develop a relationship with Source, which is all about asking for what we want, what we need, or what we think we need, or what we want. And certainly we can ask. Sometimes we don't ask, and then we don't have the opportunity to receive a gift from Source. So it's that balance. If you had a friend and you only called them when you needed something,
oh yeah,
how would that be?
Yes.
Or they only called you when they needed something, it wouldn't feel too good.
Right.
Oh, there's so and so. Oh, there's so and so on the phone. What do they need now?
So much of these. Well, what was interesting was after that came about was the petitioning. It says that, but it was the word access came up quite a bit after that about access your own Source, your own eye of the shelter in the storm, because you have it. And the one absolute, I just love this. I have to say, I put 3 exclamation marks down when I wrote this. A storm can wake you to the present. I love that. And sometimes you're right, autopilot. Like, I'm just going along doing my thing, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I don't even know if it's a good or bad thing that I'm doing. Maybe I'm in a business that I don't really know I like or dislike. Maybe I'm in a relationship I like or dislike, or I'm buying food that I don't even know how crappy or great I feel. But all of a sudden, a storm hits, and I can see it and I go, whether from a car accident to a disease to financial something, and I go, oh, the storm just woke me up to being present.
Yes. And so it's so true that the storm, sometimes we're just checked out and we are functioning half awake, half asleep, just going through life, especially if we're in a job we really don't love, or, we're spending 40, 50 hours a week there. So you learn to sort of survive it. And so if we're in survival mode, we're checked out. But until the storm comes, then you're in a different kind of survival mode where you're like, okay, hang on.
Yes. And, something's showing up for me about something is that I would like to bring up the topic of mistakes.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and we make them. And it's okay, because guess what? We don't know. We don't have all the answers. The storm comes and we're like, well, I made this decision. Is it a mistake? Because we're doing the best we can. We make the decisions that we can, when we can, how we can. So I would love to just, sit around, what is a mistake? Do they even exist? And how do we forgive ourselves in creating a storm, or and that was a mistake, or making a mistake when the storm shows up?
Yeah, so I was given a definition once of mistake, which was going down a path, how is it? Let's see, a mistake is you simply being caused, I can't remember the words of this, but basically it's a mistake is almost being forced down or being pushed down, or but not in a way that you're being pushed or forced, but it's you winding up having to go down a path you wouldn't have considered otherwise. The mistake takes you down this path you wouldn't have considered, so you make a mistake, and you don't sell your stuff and the stock market crashes. Well, now you're going down a different path, You're not buying that new car. You're gonna have to hold on, or so it's a path that you wouldn't have chosen yourself. That's what a mistake takes you down, and so it's not something
you didn't want to go that way, but you made a decision, and you ended up there. You wouldn't have considered,
you wouldn't have chosen otherwise, but it's sort of, you wind up going down that path.
And I have so much forgiveness. I actually have immediate forgiveness for all mistakes from others and myself. And I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but
I think it's a blessing. It's
loving. I mean, well, the curse would be that I really forgive other people's mistakes, like instantly and always, and they think they know it. But it's with the interesting.
Well, but if they take advantage of you, and you are and you maybe don't speak to them, you can forgive and still say, I really didn't like
however,
that. Okay, so this seems to be happening quite a bit here, and it's really causing me pain.
Yes.
You can speak up, right?
And we need to do that for ourselves, though, and I think that's what's really coming up, because I'm thinking, we all make it's like, some people will say, I'm such an idiot, I can't believe I just did that. But here's the thing, well, you did do it, and it doesn't make you, you made a mistake. You chose a way that you, with your best information at that time and where you were feeling, you went down that path, and you're like, I don't like the scenery on this one. So I just, would love to hear from Source if you...
So
sorry to making you throw your air conditioner off there, but...
No. I love the subject. So, and I myself have made some things that I'm labeling as mistakes that have cost me, and that I still sometimes reflect on. And then for me, it's been, right? So use that example of not selling and the stock market crashes. Be grateful that you had money, that you have money, that you still have money, right? That maybe it's 20% of what it used to be, but you have that money. Yes. And so I've been practicing that. I'm having some washing machine issues, and I'm grateful that I had. Yesterday I was doing laundry, and I'm like, I'm really grateful that I have the washing machine, that I have to try to find a laundromat kind of a thing. So, but at 12, okay, so we have only a few minutes, Divine, and this is such an important subject. Maybe we'll continue it next time. Quick channel. Yeah. Okay, Divine, turning it over to you about these mistakes. Yes, we would say there are no mistakes, and you would resist that. Some things are dreadful enough. Some things are harmful enough. This is you talking. Some things are painful enough that they are a mistake, and yet we use all. Everything is here for you to be transformed, for you to discover the truth, the essence of who you are deep down inside, for you to find yourself and know yourself and find us and know us in connection. And so it is all here, all serves when you take the bigger view, the greater view, the bigger picture of why you are here. Why do you exist? And we will not answer that in this moment, but we have much to say about that. But when you take that perspective, the bigger perspective, there are no mistakes. Everything is offering you the opportunity to move forward in your life's journey, in your soul's journey, in the path that your soul longs to go. And sometimes the greatest mistakes, as you would call them, are the things that shake you up enough, that shake you out of your complacency, that shake you to a point where you are now awake and aware and able to choose something different. The mistake would be to continue to go down the path that creates separation, that takes you into separation, more and more separation, deeper separation from you, from the truth of who you are, and from the truth of who we are, and from the connection that you all have to us. That would be a mistake if you want to define a mistake. And yet we don't define it as that. We define it as a temporary aberration. You are going down a path that is not the path of highest alignment for you, and you will find your way. We trust. We are, as parents that trust our children, we trust you will find your way. It may be quickly, and it may take a very long time, and there may be many detours, and there may be some shortcuts, that you will find your way. And so from our perspective, there are no mistakes, but we see what we see as would be a mistake, if there were such a thing as a mistake, is for you to continue to go down a path that brings you pain without looking at what is causing the pain and without looking at how to change. And sometimes you can't change your circumstance, but you can change you. You cannot change others, but you can change you. And so the mistake, if anything, is to continue to suffer. That is really the only human mistake, to continue to suffer. Suffering is optional. Even the great Buddha said so. And yet, you all suffer. And it is part of the human condition, but you can be those that catch the suffering, recognize the suffering, and choose to step out of the suffering. Choose to see, what is it causing me suffering now? What can I do about that? Is there an internal shift? Can I externally choose something? Being willing to look at what causes you to suffer and being willing to free yourself from that suffering. And then you do that. There are no mistakes. There are no things that are things that are wrong. Wrong is not part of what is going on here. Transformation is what is going on here. And all can be used for transformation. It is up to you whether you will wake up or whether you will continue down the sleepwalking path and not recognize that you are suffering. Stop the suffering by waking up and choosing what brings you less suffering, what brings you out of suffering, what brings you greater freedom. And in this short message, we are complete for this moment with much, much more to say. We would love a whole show on this topic. And great love. Namaste.
Well, that was concise. I got from there is that the only mistake is to continue to suffer.
Yeah, that was something.
I think yes. I think next week we should go into mistakes. I think so many people have some. I love. And I specifically love because we talked about the path again, going down a path, and it wasn't the path you originally chose. In the first channel message, we talked about. And I love this one about being on higher ground, and that one really spoke to me. And so. Yes, you know what? Higher ground, the highest path, your highest self, and where all the water will drain off and run off, and you're not going to be drowning and soaking in swampy water.
And to recognize it's all here for our transformation. It's for our soul's growth, or we get so caught up in the pain of what's going on around us and in us that we lose the bigger picture. And
yes. Yeah. Well, that has just been so beautiful. And I do believe that we are capable of thriving through life storms. And
absolutely.
Being present, having awareness, or maybe awareness comes first and then presence. I do believe that we can get there now if we can move past mistakes. I'm so excited for the next show already. So please, everybody,
great. Yeah.
Yes, connect with us. Pop on over to either Noemi Grace Facebook page or myself, Lisa Berry, and we will be here again next Monday. No, in
2 Mondays.
2 Mondays from now.
2 Mondays. So, yes, happy 4th for the Americans, and 4th of July. We will be here on July 12th. So
July 12th it is. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Noemi, for lending your channeling abilities, your gifts that you have with us, and you can go put that air conditioning back on and cool off.
I certainly will. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Lisa.
We'll see you soon. Yeah, thank you, Noemi. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.